Why do you apologize for the giving message so much? Is it past experiences?
Yeah, that's a long story. You'd have to know my past, and you know some of it and stuff. But I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I've seen the arm twisting and the manipulation. I never want to look like, I never want anybody who stands on the stage at Victory to look like that typical televangelist, because I mean, we all know
Yeah.
that guy, we know that stereotype and never want to do that because the truth is we are a blessed, healthy church, right?
Yeah.
And, it's crazy. I mean, we have our missionaries come in. They're about the only guest speakers we have now are missionaries who come in. They're in town or in the country or whatever, and we have them come speak. There was a time when we would have taken up a special offering to provide an honorarium for them. We don't do that.
Right.
Because we've got money and people, what I want is people who pay their tithes to go, okay, why are you asking me for more money now?
Yeah.
If I'm already tithing, why are you, putting some kind of pressure on me to give a certain way? My paradigm is no. For those who tithe, well, I don't need to ask you for more. We've got plenty. We'll just pay their honorarium out of this. Or if we got to put them up for a hotel and whatever we do, feed them and entertain them for a few days, I'm not going to ask money for that. But hopefully, I don't know that I've ever said this out loud, but I want our people to know that we're just not, we're going to Friendships here in a couple weeks to, we're sending a group over there that's going to be partnering with them and doing some work on some of their housing there at Friendships that was damaged by the storm. Well, that's going to cost us. We're actually Victory. We're giving $5,000 toward the purchase of materials to do that outreach, and I don't want to have to go twist people's arm or even. And maybe I'm too far on the other side because people may want to sow into those things, and I never want to rob someone for the opportunity to sowing into it. But I also don't want to be that church that's just like, hey, we want to do something, give us some more money.
Right.
I'm like, no. If those of you who tithe, I want you to know, we're making full use of the tithe income that we receive. We're pouring that right back out, and we're not going to be going asking you for money every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the only offering we pick up yearly, this special offering we do as a church is for the orphanage in India.
Which we didn't even do last year.
Which we didn't do last year, and the reason is because a couple of years ago we took up such an offering that we've still got some money there, and we've been dipping in that to provide their Christmas party for them and the upgrades that we do. Last time we were in India, we found between the Janie school or the Sister Betty school and the Janie orphanage, I think we had like $10,000 worth of upgraded they need and everything, but we looked in our bank account, we still had the money left over from the last offering, so we just gave that.
Yeah.
We used that to meet that need. So
again,
I may be out of balance in that with something, but I would rather
you be out of balance that way than the other way, to be honest.
Yeah, I just don't want to be that church where we're just constantly asking for money after money after money.
Yeah, and I personally appreciate that because growing up at the tail end of the prosperity gospel, and I see in those things, and even your story with the chandelier thing, which we won't get into, those type things mark us. And not in a healthy way. And so I really do appreciate where we're at in that. But on the other side, being the guy who sees the budget, I don't think people realize how many air filters we have on this place.
We're currently going through our air filters right now.
And just in the main building alone, there's 12 to 13 ACs in there and big ones. Yeah. And so, for us to put on those services that you have, that you come and enjoy, it takes money. Yeah. And it takes a lot of money. And we're not talking about a 1,500 square foot house AC.
Well, like last year, we made $300,000 worth of improvements on the property.
Yeah.
Pouring concrete and some different things. I forget what all we did, but it was capital improvements here online. And we didn't ask for a single.
Right.
We didn't take up a single offering for that. This year, we're hoping to remodel the Kidmo building. And we've got some more work to do on the youth building, and we've got some projects. And we may, I don't know, this may be the year where we bring that need up and just go, hey, if you want to give toward this, you know,
Yeah.
let people sow into that because it's making a difference. But like I said, as long as we're financially healthy, I don't want to be the guy. Please, you know, you can only shear the sheep so many times. You know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And we're a giving church. We really are.
Absolutely.
We went down, just getting very practical. We did go down in our contributions last year, but even our attendance went up, but our contributors went down.
Right.
So we have less people tithing.
But our missions is actually going up every year.
Right.
So we increase our missions giving every year.
Yeah.
Even in years where what we're receiving as a church is down, we're continuing to give in our missions. And that's something I'm passionate about because I don't want to just be the church that's just taking. No, we give.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Yeah, and so I just know that people have said, you know, Jody needs to quit apologizing so much. But I know your story, and if you grew up in the church in the 90s, you know why.
Yeah.
And there's even movies that make fun of pastors who do that, which I'm not going to say the name of the movies. But and so I do appreciate that, but I just wish people realized how close we keep an eye on the giving. And your dad did teach us this, a positive, which is every time you spend $1 here as a staff member,
That's right.
somebody gave that.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody out of their heart and it may be their last dollar.
That's right.
And for us to spend it on a coffee mug, which that's mine, that's not the church's. But you know what I'm saying? So it's like this balance that we feel. And I love your, and I know the staff hates when I say it, but to me, it's very practical. Whenever I first came on staff in 2003, your dad taught me about how Victory as a staff spends money. Did I ever tell you this?
I don't know.
And you know the saying that I'm about to say. He said, Brady, on Sunday morning, look in the parking lot. That's how we spend money. And I'm like, what do you mean? He says, there's no Cadillacs in this parking lot. He said, there's no 1972 Ford Pintos either. Mm-hmm. He said, we are F-150s. Mm-hmm. He said, there's a lot of Ford F-150s. He said, so we do the same thing with our budget. We don't buy the Cadillac version. We don't buy the Pinto.
Yeah.
We buy the thing that we need to get us by. And you've taught us, like, you can't have everything you want, like that whole idea.
You can have anything you want. You just can't have everything you want.
Yeah, and it's just like needs versus wants and growth versus this, and spend money to make money, like spend money to grow. And so there's all these things. And so I really do appreciate even Pastor John Osteen teaching your dad. I was at Lakewood the other day. I'm friends with some of the guys who work there, and I was getting a tour of all their production stuff, and they just spent buku money on new cameras. And so I'm getting a tour of all these stuff, putting my hands on the cameras, and they're like, so have you been to Lakewood before? I'm like, oh, you don't understand. On Saturday nights, I used to drive to Lakewood in the 90s by myself. I said, I actually was at the groundbreaking of this building.
Wow.
And they were like, what? And I said, actually, Pastor Joel's dad taught our founding pastor a very important principle. They're like, what? And I said, the overflow of the barrel. And your dad talked about, as a church financial institution, we don't dip into the barrel. We live out of the overflow. Fill up the barrel and live out of the overflow. And I can say this, being on staff as long as I have, there's only one time where we didn't live in the overflow of the barrel. And it was during the recession in 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. That's the only time. It's because of the good financial principles that Pastor John Osteen and Roy Stockstill helped put into your dad. Mentor, mentee / protege.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important for our church to realize financially
that
where we're at.
I didn't mean for this. I didn't know we were going into money in this podcast, but I do think it's healthy because I put a lot of emphasis Sunday on giving, and so maybe helping people understand how we think and how we view and how we handle money is probably good.
I didn't plan to go here, but this is why I love podcasts, because we can go to bed. Well, we can cut this part and just make it a separate video by itself, so it's not so long. Is there any other concept of money in the church? Because money makes people like what people are so protected, but also generational. Like, did you ever ask your dad how much money he made? Mm-mm. See, my kids know how much money I make. They know how much money my business makes. They don't know how much money I like. We're just more open financially than I never knew how much my dad made. You don't ask that, you know. But now I feel like people are very open to money, and maybe that's part of the thing is people are kind of iffy because they want to know more but at the same time, how open do you get? So I think that's a philosophy about money that may be changing in our society. Like Brecken right now, after, he's a junior, he's going to be a junior next year. He wants to work on Wall Street. He wants to be a financial analyst, like a numbers guy on Wall Street. And which is crazy to me, but he loves math. He's in advanced math. He's in all these things. But he can tell you the salaries. He can say, hey, this is how this starting salary here. This is this. And so I think this generation knows what their worth is with the dollar value. Us, we didn't grow up like that. You were worth what anybody would pay you,
Right.
is what your worth was. And so I think there's a different concept of money. Anything else that you want to?
Well, I would say on the money side of things, you just said people get weird with money. Because of that, that's the power of money, is that it's so powerful that it can make people weird.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I think God included our money in serving Him. Right?
Yeah.
Because if you can make me Lord over your money, we've got something here.
Yeah.
Because that's always that struggle. Yeah, you're my Lord, but
Yeah.
leave my money out of the equation, because we all put such value on money that when you see somebody who can literally put their money under the lordship of Jesus and say, if you told me to tithe, I'm going to tithe. If you told me to give, I'm going to give. That's a real marker of maturity.
Yeah.
And anybody, this is going to sound harsh, but anybody who can't put their money under the lordship of Jesus, I would say you got some growing to do. And that's the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay, that
okay.
kind of thing.
Let me. I'm gonna poke a hole in that, but not because I feel this way. But this is what if people have told me, wealthy people, y'all can't handle my money. It has nothing to do with the Lord. It has to do with churches. If I really gave my tithe, y'all wouldn't know what to do. Like, I've heard people say that. Not my friends, but I've heard people say that. What do you say to those people? Like, I make $1 million a year. You can't handle $100,000. Like,
I would say try us. Let's go. No, I really do. That's the rich young ruler,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
And when I look at the rich young ruler, here's how I look at it. This dude came to Jesus like, what must I do to have eternal life? And I think he probably said that from a haughty position. And he wanted Jesus to say a certain thing. Jesus knew it, so he said the thing that he wanted Jesus to say. He said, you've got to keep the commandments.
yeah,
And the guy was going, I was hoping you would say that, because bingo,
Yeah.
I got it.
yeah.
Right? And then what did Jesus do? He just train wrecks the dude by going, okay, give everything you have to the poor and follow me. And the dude was like, that was the one thing he could not do. But I believe if you look beyond what was being said, I think Jesus was setting him up, because he was like, all right, you claim that you've obeyed the commandments, but you didn't even get the first one right. Because the first one was, you shall have no other God before me, and your money is your God.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really about the money.
Yeah.
It was about who is Lord in your life.
Yeah.
And that's your idol. That's your God. And so you didn't even get the first one right. And it said two things. Jesus loved him, and he went away sorrowful. And so Jesus doesn't quit loving us because we've got something goofy going on in our world. But it did create sorrow in his life, and he couldn't break that, right? He had to go serve his God.
Yeah.
Right? Because it never said that he went and served God after that. No, he chose his God.
Yeah.
And so that's an indirect way to answer that question.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. If Elon Musk all of a sudden started tithing to victory, we would be going, oh my gosh, we got to find something to do with this, you know?
Oil changes for the single moms. Yeah.
If I were to be honest, it's going to sound funny, but it would look like that. It wouldn't look like Jody having a mansion now.
Right. Yeah. I don't think our salaries would go up.
Because our salaries may go up a little bit, because we could use a little bit more money to keep pace with the plant workers.
I trapped you in that. See, you heard that.
But it wouldn't equate to all of a sudden Jody's got a personal jet, you know. And so anyway, I don't know why I said that. Maybe just to
No, I think that's so true. But even about the tithing, I don't want people to forget about the giving.
Yeah.
Like, even though we tithe, I still want to be a giver. Like, out of the abundance of what I have. And in my life and me and Kayla's life, this is what it looks like. It's taking people out to lunch. It's taking people to dinner. It's buying groceries. And this happened just the other day. And I'm really trying not to pat myself on the back, but money has always been important to me for lack of. When you give your life to ministry, we don't have to say it too much. And with my business being a little more successful, I find I have a little bit more to actually give to people. And the other day I was at Village and I showed up by myself. It was a Saturday. It was Friday morning. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go read my Bible, chill, and just like be in the community. So I walked in by myself and there was a family there who we know. And as I'm sitting there eating breakfast with them and all that, and their 2 kids were there, I was like, I just felt it. Like, I need to they already paid for their breakfast. And I pulled out $100 bill and I gave it to them. And I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but because I tithed, but it was like something burning in me. And I gave it to them and I said, hey, y'all are about to go grocery shopping. I said, y'all got money. I don't want you to think I'm looking at you like I'm better than you. I said, but hey, get something for your kids. Like, don't even worry about whatever they want. Well, that night I happened to see them and their kids pulled open. Like, they're like, look what we got. And they got pajamas and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, Lord, like, I don't know why I felt, but I was to give. And that's the thing is like, Jesus said to give. And so, and we were blessed. There's a person, I'm going to mention their name because I want to give them props. Whenever me and Kayla were first married, she was in school. I was working up here. At that time, we were not making anywhere near even poverty level, to be honest with you. And I was youth pastor, and I had no business on the side. This is it. And we were struggling to make ends meet. And Mandy Benoit came up to us, and she called Kayla. I was at work. Kayla was at home studying. She called Kayla and said, hey, can I stop by? And she stopped by our little 350 square foot, we call it the Love Shack, a little apartment. And Mandy gave Kayla $100 bill to go buy groceries. Mm-hmm. And that just put something in us where like, oh my God, God sees us. So now I can't tell you how many times Kayla has done that for a couple. Yeah. Because something that Mandy did to us. Yeah. But honestly, someone did it to Mandy and Jason when they were living right here in Poche Town. Yeah. And so I just want to be a blessing to people. Absolutely. And that may not be, oh, I'm going to go buy you a truck. It may mean, hey, I'm going to pay for your dinner. Hey, I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy your kids something. And so, yeah, tithing is, but I want to be a giver. I want people, whenever I think of Jody LaFleur, I have things that come to my mind. When people think about Brady, they have things that come. I want one of those things at the end, like the second half of my life, I want them to know Brady's generous. Like, I want to be a generous. We know those people. Yeah. One of our mutual friends, Ty Bean. He's the most generous dude I know. Like, he's fun, he's loving. But when I think of Ty, I think, God, that guy is generous. Yeah. I want to be that. I don't want to be like, if you need business help, go to Brady. Like, I want to, God, Brady's a giver. Brady's generous. Because that's the heart of our Father. He gives, he gives, right. He gives. Yeah. And in order for that to happen, he has to be number one and money has to be second. Absolutely. Or even like fifth. Yeah. Has to be down there. Yeah. And
now we could probably tell 100 stories about that because I feel the same way. I love and generosity is not my nature. I'm probably not known as the most generous person in the world. Yeah. But when you say it, it reminds me of times when I was generous in my life, Lori and I, and it's just such a blessing to be generous like that. And I have seasons where I was really generous, but I'm kind of even convicted right now as you're saying that. It's like, okay, I got to be more generous. And so there's tithing, but there is giving. And some of it's given at the church for things like the remodel of Kidmo or whatever. But a lot of it's just following God and letting him point things out.
Right. In this time when the economy is tanking, when things are, inflation's up, economy's going, recession looks like, tariffs are happening, to me, this is where the church people step up.
Absolutely.
And this is where we shine the brightest, is going, and your dad told me this story a long time ago where he paid for the people in front of him their groceries. And so I took that challenge on, and I'm telling you, and you don't do it for the feeling, but God, whenever you pay Like, I like swiping people's, like, with them not even seeing at the grocery line. Like, now I'm going to be honest with you. If it was a $400 grocery bill, I don't know.
It's like you look for the cart with the,
I look at the handy.
yeah. If they're carrying the grocery,
I wish.
I'll pay for those.
I do have to check my account, make sure it's in there before I swipe the card. But at the same time, golly, that is being the church. Yeah. That is being a light, paying for someone's gas. I mean, it doesn't have to be like buying a house for somebody. Yeah. It starts with those little things. And to me, to start that principle of giving, if you make $100 a week, it's $10 to tithe. And you go, well, if I had more, I would tithe more. It's a principle.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't work like that. You got to put it. It's a heart thing. Absolutely. So $1 million to $100,000 is the same as 100 to 10. Yeah. It really is. It's a heart posture. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard though when you're living paycheck to paycheck. And I know it sounds good, like pay your tithe first, and then everything else will get met. Until you go negative in that bank account, like, you know what I'm saying? But it is true. It's truth. And it really shows where your heart is. And so this is new for me because, I'm not the one to talk about giving. Yeah. I hate talking about giving because I feel the same pressure. But I think we talk about healing testimonies. I would love to start putting some giving testimonies in there that we can share with people about giving. Y'all give away a car? Yeah. One time, I mean, I remember when someone gave away a van. It was the NOACs. They gave away a van or a Suburban here. And I remember being a young person sitting in the audience hearing that, like as a 15-year-old. And I'm like, what? And like, I'm still waiting to give away a car one day. Like, well, I gave my kid a car. Does that count? No. That doesn't count. But yeah, I would love to be able to do that or pay off somebody's credit card debt. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, and maybe that's self-fulfilling. I don't know. I just want to be a giver.
Oh, it's more blessed to give than to receive. There is a blessing that comes along with it. Yeah. The actual feeling of being blessed because I got the opportunity to give. There's something real there.
And we've seen it. Like I told Lori this, I think maybe I told the staff. This was like right after my sabbatical. And I went to lunch after church with some church members. It was like 5 of us all together. And the bill came. And I leaned over to Kayla and I said, "Hey, we're going to pay for everybody's meal." And it was 5 of us. It was at Texas Roadhouse. So it's not like Mazin's or something like that. And we paid for it. And your wife, she asked me. We were walking out the door and she said, "Hey, why did you pay for everybody?" And I said, "Lori, I was that kid sitting at the table that I don't remember my dad ever paying for the table." Like, and not because we are always with people who were, "Hey, I got it. And we were blessed by other people like that. And I want to be that guy. I want to be a blessing to other people, and not so people like, "Oh, look at Brady." It's just, I want to show people like God is so real and he's so loving. He's so kind. And if it's a cheap way to give to pay for somebody's meal. Yeah.
And the way those people feel about you, though, who you bless, a lot of influence there to share the gospel, to disciple them or whatever. A lot of influence is exchanged in that the giving.
But what's crazy is going full circle. I learned those principles from mentors. Yeah, Mel Estes. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times Mel paid for my meal. My 18th birthday. Mel showed up at my house. My 18th, like I'm 18. My 18th birthday, he showed up at my house with live crabs. With like 24 live crabs that he went and got, and he brought them to me. I'm like, "What am I doing with this?" He's like, "We're going to boil them." And for my 18th birthday, I hung out with Mel Estes. But I'm like, God, he didn't give me money, but he gave me an experience. And so being mentored by Mel, by your dad, by Mr. Binkenstein, by all these who just gave.
That's right.
Mr. Binkenstein never gave me $1, but you know what he gave me? Free hunts.
He gave me experiences that I'll never forget.
Yeah. So it's not always a money thing. It's just I want to be a giver. Time, money, resources, thoughts, books, all those things. So
Love
I
it.
didn't mean to get this off into giving, but I'm so inspired to go give right now.
Let's go give something away.
I just gave you my time. That's good enough. No. All right, well, that's it for this episode. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Man, we went all around
Yeah, I don't know
the
how
world.
long we went too.
I don't know. We can divide it into 2 podcasts. It's all good. So,
Cool.
all right. See you on the next one.
See ya.